Hey, what's good, Game of Thrones fans? This is the Campfire Crew, and guess what? We're here to talk about Game of Thrones Episode 5, The Door. Hodor, that is.
Hold the door!
Look, guys, we got so much stuff that we gotta cover, man. This episode was just jam-packed full of nuggets and anticipation for more stuff to come. We're gonna go over this stuff. We got 8 favorite moments that we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm Campfire Rich.
And I'm Campfire Nate. Yeah, it was intense. This episode was probably one of my favorite. And this season has been just like in your face, boom, boom, boom. And this was a really good episode. But moment number 1 was you finally get that kind of confrontation between Sansa and Littlefinger. You know, Littlefinger, it was so interesting because Sansa was like, you know, either you're an idiot or you knew about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, she basically said, listen, you're either two things, and both of them I don't have time for. You know, either you're completely stupid because you didn't know Ramsey was like this, or you didn't care. And then that means I'm going to kill you. You know, so it was such a tense scene because you got Brienne over there, and Brienne would have killed him. You know, if Sansa would have said, do it, Brienne was ready. She had her hand on a blade. She was ready to split Littlefinger in half. And you can't have, like, you kind of get this vibe like maybe he literally, truly was, he didn't know. But it's Littlefinger, okay? If we can assume for any moment that Littlefinger actually forgot about something or didn't know about something, what does that mean? That means that all this conniving little planning he's done up to this point makes him look like a complete idiot. Right. So you got to think he knew. You got to think he rolled the dice and he lost. And Sansa tells him to go off. She's like, go away. Don't have nothing to do with you. I'm sure we're going to see him again, but I like that. Yeah,
it was a very good scene. I mean, Sansa was so strong in this scene. And, you know, she's sitting there talking to him. But, like, normally she's a frail girl. Not the last times, but when we've seen her in other episodes, especially with her and Littlefinger, just so unsure of herself. Very sure of herself. Brienne's sitting there with her, just, Lady Stark asked you a question, you know, like forces him to answer, like, what do you think he did to me? Well, this is the only time I've ever seen Littlefinger genuinely look like he had regret. Every time in the past, he's always playing at some kind of angle. He literally felt sorrowful. That's what it looked like anyway. And I don't believe that he's stupid. I believe that he knew his tendencies because he even kind of hinted at it when he was like, he did this, did he touch you? He was like, oh, so you do know about him. Like maybe he'd heard stories, but maybe he thought because he was marrying a Stark and this was actually going to be his wife and this was his gateway into uniting the North, that he wouldn't be so dumb as to put his hands on her. You know, like maybe, like you said, he was kind of rolling the dice. And then when it happened, he genuinely felt bad. Like he honestly didn't think that it would go that route. But very powerful scene. Enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting when he walks out. One of the last things he says was, half brother. You know, he's alluded to the fact before.
I feel like he's trying to. I think this feels like he's trying to put those, seeds of deceit in Sansa's head that maybe she can't trust Jon. You know, and and that's kind of annoying because it's like if there's any person she can trust at this point, it's got to be her and Jon.
Yeah, and you would think he would want her to trust Jon, but anyway, he did plan it in there, and we see later on that it might have kind of worked, you know. But we'll get into that later. Let's move on to favorite number 2. Arya's finally given a mission. You know, this is her second chance. There will not be a third. A girl does not get a third. One way or another, a face will go on the wall. So if Arya fails, her face is going to be on the wall. This scene was interesting, you know, because she goes to this play, and as soon as the play started, she's laughing, and I'm like, does she realize what they're talking about? And she did, and I was like, you know, her father's coming up. And when it did, you know, she wasn't laughing anymore. And I found this scene very interesting because she's supposed to be a girl anymore. She's not Lady Stark. She's supposed to forget her past, and those things are not supposed to affect her or bother her. But she's reliving the moment when she saw her father get killed because she was there to witness it, and these people are joking at it. It almost made me mad. Like, you kind of feel the same things that she did during this scene. But she composes herself and continues on.
It was intense because it was very unique because, you know, you kind of have to wonder, is this another test? Because if she sees this and is truly no one, it won't matter.
Right.
But if she's still holding on to her being Arya Stark, her seeing this is going to piss her off. You know what I'm saying? So did Jack put her there for a reason other than that? Was he putting it there again? Is this a, hey, we want you to kill this person, but we also want to see how you handle this situation, and she kind of seems to be overall handling it well. She sneaks backstage, kind of gets her idea of what she's going to do. And we all get really awful nudity in the process. And then we get to figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, I think I'm tempted to feel like maybe seeing this is what's going to eventually get her kind of back on the track of, I'm Arya Stark. I have a plan. I got a list. And I'm wondering if this doesn't switch her gear over and she might eventually leave.
Yeah.
So, but we all, like you said, there's no third chances. So I think this is coming to a head. I think her story is in focus right now. We've seen bits and pieces of it, but they spent more time on Arya than they've spent all season long. Her story is in focus now. I think we're going to see how that's going to happen. And I'm really excited about that because I love Arya. I'm ready for Arya to get needle out and start stabbing some people in the throat. But moving on to moment number 3, a huge moment, a freaking massive moment, is we see Bran in the tree. He's figuring things out. He's in this place, and at first I'm like, what the crap is this? I'm like, go back to the Tower of Joy. I don't want to see a bunch of bushes and stuff. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And all of a sudden you see all these children of the forest. I'm like, what are they doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just going to go talk to him. I was like, this is weird. And then all of a sudden you see some guy tied to a tree. And I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, what is happening? And then you realize that they are making a White Walker. Maybe the first White Walker. Maybe what we're seeing is them make the Night's King in that moment.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, and I'm just blown away at this. And I'm telling you, that thing they shoved into him, it looked like it hurt. I mean, when they're doing that, I'm sitting there like, oh man, my chest. Like, I couldn't help from that bothering me. But when he wakes up and he asks him, he's like, you did it. You created the White Walkers. And they're like, we did. And it was like, and he was like, well, why? He's like, to protect us from you. And I believe that protect us from you is meant in the man sense.
Yeah, but she said it. She said it to protect us from man. She said it after that.
But she also said, but I couldn't help from getting my mind crazy when she's like, protects us from you. I'm like, wow. I was like, Bran is powerful. Like, we're going to see Bran do some crazy stuff. But no, like, it was interesting because obviously that's the case. So you kind of get this vibe like, okay, they created these White Walkers to battle the first men. Then they go out of control. They start killing everything. And so then the children of the forest and the first men have to team up to stop the White Walkers, build a wall, keep them out, all this kind of stuff. Again, just like something you created that went crazy and backfired in your face, which is funny because it's very similar to how Cersei kind of sort of helped the Sparrows get to a point where they were something, and now it's blown up in her face. So these little parallels are very interesting. But this was huge. This was a huge moment.
Yeah, the thing I like about this was it completely caught me off guard. I mean, I think that was dragon glass. Didn't it look like dragon glass that she was using?
It kind of did. Like, that was interesting because that's something that kills them. So, I mean, it was, dude, there's so much.
Yeah, there was just like so much there, and I immediately, thought back to whatever book I was listening to. I don't know if it covered it in the show, but it talked pretty at great length about the history about, the men breaking a pact and killing all the children of the forest and stuff like that. So it made sense as soon as I saw it. I kind of knew where it was going and why they had created them. Mm-hmm. But so shocking. It was awesome when he opened up and his eyes were blue. I was like, oh, I did not know that. I did not see that coming. It was crazy. But anyway, moving on to favorite moment number 4. Euron shows up at the King's, what's it called? Kingsmoot?
Kingsmoot.
Sorry, Kingsmoot. And we knew it was coming. Hey, Theon, the first time he gave a really powerful speech, he almost seemed like his old self. Arya made a good case. Arya. What's her name? Yara, sorry. She made a good case for herself, and then here he comes. And man, he is a savage. Like, he come up and I wanted to vote for him. I wanted to vote for him. He was just like, yeah, I killed him. My only regret is that I didn't kill him sooner. Y'all didn't like him. Y'all didn't want to follow him. I will build the biggest fleet. I will go down there and give my ships to Dany Targaryen. And I was just like, oh, I didn't see that coming either. That was, crazy, like what he was doing. And he made a very compelling, speech there that had me riled up. And now I'm very curious to see where this storyline is going. Theon and Yara, they dip. So what do you think about this moment? I thought it was awesome. The whole thing with him showing up and the speeches and the plan that he's got.
It was, I was honestly, I knew, like, I kind of, like, this sort of happens in the book, except that Theon's not there. So this is something that I kind of already knew was going to happen. But the fact that the Euron just kind of came out.
Wait a second. So this does happen in the book?
Yeah.
Where he said he was going to go to get Daenerys?
Yeah, but he sends his brother. It's a mixed kind of thing.
For those of you, I'm not the book reader, so this is interesting. That for a non-book reader, this was a shock to me because I didn't expect it coming.
Yeah, no, this is something that happened. Like a lot of, they're doing stuff that they left out of some of the other books, and they're bringing it back into play this season. And that's one of the things. The thing about Euron. What's interesting was I was surprised that he just came out and said it. He's like, "Yeah, I killed my brother." Because I mean, Yara suspected him because she was like, "Oh, there's you," and she called him out, and he was just like, "Yeah, I did it." Yeah. He's
threw him over a rope bridge.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I threw him over that bridge." And I was just like, "Wow!" Like I was just kind of shocked. Let's put it to you like that. I wasn't surprised. I was just kind of like, "Wow, I'm surprised he just put it out there." That's good. Let's go ahead and move past that. But you kind of like he's really building them up, and they're like, okay, they're sold on him. Man, Theon and Yara got to get out.
Yeah.
And they leave. And it's interesting that whole scene when they put him in the water and they kind of do this. It's weird because they do this kind of like a weird, like, drowning baptism thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you actually drown and then you come back. Okay. Like, that's like for a moment there, he was going underwater and he was like, I'm not breathing and stuff. I'm sure people were like, oh crap, somebody just killed that guy. Like, wow, he was cool for about an episode. Now he's dead. But that's the way they do that. Okay. Like that's their kind of like initiation, what was dead will never die, right. Just their whole thing. And as soon as he gets up, he's like, where's my niece and nephew? I'm ready to kill him, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good call that they got out of there when they did. And they leave and they take all the boats. And he's like, all right, guys, get to work. Build me 1,000 boats. I'm going to tell you what, if by next episode he's got 1,000 boats, I'm going to be pissed. So I'll be like, that's bull crap. How in the world they build 1,000 boats?
I was about to ask you, how long do you think it's going to take to build 1,000 boats by hand?
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you what, at least building one boat better take at least 2 episodes. It's just crazy to think that they could build that many boats.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we get another guy that we can kind of like/dislike. Like you're kind of like, I don't know. He feels like a wild card.
Yeah.
That's been pulled into this whole situation. So
you like him because he's not really playing any games. He's very direct on what he plans on doing. I don't think he's sugarcoating anything. And I find it interesting in his choice of words. He doesn't say let's execute, let's kill. He says let's go murder them. It kind of gives you more insight into him.
Yeah, like he's like,
let's go murder him.
He has a plan. His plan is that he's going to give Dany the ships. He's going to woo her, which I'm pretty sure if he came in there with that kind of attitude, she's probably going to feed him to a dragon because he doesn't know Dany like we know Dany.
Yeah.
Danny's going to be like, I don't think so. Kill this guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he just, but in his mind, he's like, we're going to be good again. Great. We're going to make ourselves great. We're going to go get this. We're going to get these dragons. We're going to take over all of Westeros. Like he's talking a good story. You know what I'm saying? Like he's building these guys up. I honestly don't think he can follow through. Yeah. What I'm more excited about is now that Yara and Theon are gone, I can't help but feeling like that's where they're headed. So now we get to put some more of our characters together with some other characters that we haven't seen them with, which is exciting.
Yep.
But moving on to the next moment, and that's that touching scene between Dany and Jorah. Like he shows her what his grayscale and says, I got to leave. And basically tells her that he loves her and that he's, how he loves her and all this kind of stuff. And it's a really strong scene because then she turns around and says, wait, you're not going to walk away from your queen. I've given you a mission. And that mission is to go cure yourself and then come back and stand by my side.
Yep.
And if anything, it gives him hope and he goes off. But the thing I can't help from thinking is this, do you think this is it for Jorah? Do you think this was just a nice way to give him a, off into the sunset moment? Do you really think we'll see Jorah again?
Yes, I do think we'll see him for some reason. I don't know what it was about the scene that made me feel like he's going to figure something out, and then it might be we won't see him for a couple episodes, and then he might have some kind of epic return, like he pops up all of a sudden. That's what I was picturing. I don't know if they'll actually show him on his mission because all the stuff they got going on and where they're trying to get to by the end of the season, I don't feel like it's relevant, to be honest. It might be relevant for him to pop up somewhere.
Well, I just don't know what he could possibly. I mean, honestly, this was.
How long has this disease been going around? Right,
it's been going around a long time. Yeah. So I mean, they could write this off. Like this could have been it. Like they could make this it, or they could not make it. But I don't think you're going to see episodes where he's like wandering around like, "Hey, you guys got a cure?" Like I don't think we're going to see that. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn between thinking that maybe this was it for Jorah, and maybe we'll see him again in some small way at some point towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Well, but it's curious to see how it goes up. Maybe he pops up as a full grayscale, but he still has his mind. Who knows with this show what's going to happen? I don't know. Moving on to favorite moment number 6, and that's Bran. Bran, he wakes up, he's in the cave, throws a rock, like, "Hey, you awake?" And then, he crawls on over there and puts his hand on a tree limb and goes under, right? Goes searching, all by his lonesome. And that was a really creepy scene when he's walking through this army of White Walkers. They look creepy. He's just looking at him. He gets over there and then, look, man, there's the king. Turns back around. It was a good scene. And then when he grabbed him, he screams, he wakes up. And we see now why Bran wasn't allowed to go by himself. Apparently, he can't. The writers had said that if he would have gone under with the Three-Eyed Raven, it would have ended much differently. Mm-hmm. So, Bran doesn't have full power over his powers, full ability over his powers. Now that he's been marked, the Night King can get to him.
Yeah, it was almost like he put a tracker on him. He's like, now he knows where you are. The wards to keep him off of the cave is gone. They're coming. And it was intense. I was like, oh crap, Bran. And what's the name's like, you gotta go. And he's like, but I'm not finished. He's like, no. He's like, you're gonna be me. And yeah, you're not ready. Yeah. And it was, he wasn't. We knew that at that moment. So it was very interesting the way that kind of went down.
He goes to download. I wondered why they went under immediately. I was like, he's got to get out of here, but then they go back under. And what it was, the writer said he was trying to download. Now he's trying to download all this information into Bran exponentially, and so dragging out. So I was curious as to why did he go under? Well, he realizes what's about to happen to him. So he goes under. My question is why are they so intent on getting to Bran? How powerful is Bran? What is it that he is supposed to do really for the Night King to send his whole army after him that fat? What is it with this kid?
I don't know, but I think we saw enough to let us know that there's definitely something that just keeps us watching. Sure. But moving on to number 7, and that is that Jon, Sansa, and the round table, they're together, kind of come up with a little plan. The odd couple of all these people that are standing around the table, which is hilarious. Every time I sit there, they're all walk. I'm just like, isn't this just a mixed match group of people? Right. From season 1 to now, that they're all there standing around this table. So they're coming up with their plans. They got it. Well, we kind of are. I already knew what, we kind of figured what the plan was. They need to go around. They need to go to these houses. They need to get support. They need to build an army. That's the plan. Sansa then informs Jon about the information that Littlefinger told her, and then lies about how she found out that information, which is kind of interesting. It makes you think that maybe Littlefinger's little seeds are starting to kind of, work their way around. And then they talk, and Brienne asks her the same thing. Basically says, why? Why did you not tell him? And she's like, I don't know. I don't want to, cause all these things. It was kind of weird. And then she basically says, yeah. And then she basically says, okay, I'm sending you down there. And now Brienne is headed to the Riverlands, and that's interesting.
Yes. I didn't understand Sansa, and it kind of bothered me because like this was the bond we've been wanting to see get back together for, and like you wanted them to be solid, and we all know what happens, when you start lying and misleading. I just it doesn't make sense because Jon will find out eventually. Like, why didn't you tell me? Like, I don't want that. I want these to be together. So Littlefinger again is still finding ways to get his hooks into people, and for some reason make it seem I don't know. It was just weird. I didn't like that she lied, but anyway, it's done now. They do have their plan. I did again like why do I keep saying Arya? For crying out loud, Sansa. I do like Sansa in this scene because again she's like, I'm a Stark. Like she's building up this north, and you get kind of amped up thinking about, he is a son, but I do have the Stark name. We will go and, unite these families. You wait until they see me. She's making these dresses. Like, I loved her armor, her dress, or whatever she had with the sigil and stuff on it. She makes something for Jon. Like, I don't know, man. Just the whole moment and seeing Sansa like that just make decisions is really great. So, again, coming along, boy, the Starks, they picking up speed. You wait till Arya gets up in there and they all come together. I can't wait to see what they can all do. Moving on to favorite moment number 8. All right. The White Walker assault. They get there and it all goes down. Okay. You got these true people of the Forest, the children of the Forest. They throwing these bombs and it ain't phasing. It ain't phasing them, the main ones. They get the fire ring. They walk through it. They get up in there. It was a really, really intense scene because they're screaming the whole time at Bran, we need Hodor. We need Hodor. They're fighting all these people. It's getting really close. And then Bran starts, hearing them in the background. And there was so much that goes on here. And for the life of me, I was like, okay, he's downloading this other information. Why in the world did we go back to young Ned at Winterfell? I couldn't understand, like, all the stuff that I feel like he needed to do. I was like, why are they here? Like, I was confused. And then I get unconfused real quickly as to why they were there, because that was a moment. Nate, I need you to help me process what actually happened with Hodor, right? Like,
I mean, this is like, it's like
a time travel, like continual loop type thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, he basically, it's like you said, the Three-Eyed Raven brought him to that last memory for a reason. Right. He knew it was coming. The time had come. The end had come. Obviously, Three-Eyed Raven knew about all this stuff. And it was like, because Hodor in the past heard these things, that it literally kind of fried his brain. You know what I'm saying? To the last thing he heard, which was, hold the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude, the whole... Before I talk about that particular ending part, the whole sequence, the whole entire end part there was just so unbelievable. I mean, You got the whites coming through the ceiling. I mean, these children of the Forest, I mean, they're throwing these like explosive things. It's not really, it's not enough. There's so many of them. They're getting killed. Then a White Walker comes in. Mara happens to grab one of the spears, which we have to assume they're made of dragon glass, because it wouldn't make any sense otherwise. Takes out the White Walker. Of course, it's like, oh, what the crap, and then we lose Summer. Summer dies. Another freaking
direwolf down.
Another direwolf down. And it's just like we lose her. She attacks, and that moment when the Night King is like looking at the Three-Eyed Raven and he's not there, and he's it's almost like he can sense it. And he's like, my time has come.
Yep.
You're going to be without me. And then when he kills him, and then the way he just kind of like disappears, I was just like, holy moly. Like, it was just so intense. And then running through that entire moment, just like them running through there, it was intense. And then when that one just like sacrificed herself to kind of like blow up them, that was intense. And then the final moment, man, when Mira's like yelling at Bran and it's coming through, and Hodor in the past hears it, and that's what causes him to kind of get, go stupid, basically, go into this kind of like, that's all he can say, because that's all he can hear, because it's in his mind, and it's hold the door, and he's doing that. He's holding the door, And the way that scene went down, man, it was
It
just
pulled at the heartstrings a little bit. Like I was emotionally
it was
connected to the
intense.
scene, the way it
It
was, the music they
was.
was playing, that this guy had. I don't, that's why I don't understand. Like it somehow already happened. He had been prophesied to do this for some reason. For whatever reason, he was set up in place because they knew Hodor was going to be needed to do just that to help Bran get away. Which again plays to how significant. What the freak is this kid going to do? I mean, he's already done some amazing stuff, but what kind of role does he play? It's got
Well,
to be significant. The amount
dude's
of
got to warg into a dragon and eat the Night's
I
King.
don't know what's going to happen, but something big is going to happen with this kid because what they did. You know what's crazy, Nate? Is like I saw in a comment section somewhere where a guy was like, I got a theory where Hodor was commanded to hold the door, and they kept saying hold the door, and that's why he always says it. And like people laughed at him and thought it was nuts. Now the only thing the
That's
kid got.
that's been said a couple times, and all those people got to feel pretty vindicated right now. Like,
Well,
yes, I was,
the
I was right.
the one thing they got wrong was they said they was holding the door because it was right after the Tower of Joy. Was that Hodor was there to hold the door to protect, from Ned or anybody else getting in.
I had heard one theory that he was holding the door from the White Walkers. So
Okay, but
there are people out there who called this obscure
I
thing
wish it
right.
was us, but it wasn't. God dang it! I was just like, God, I wish I'd have been like. But anyway, it was a very, very powerful scene, and I knew it as soon as they said hold the door, it was going to happen, and it was, again, it pulled at the heartstrings. But anyway, they get away, Bran's going, and Hodor goes down, doing exactly what he was meant to do this whole time. So, wow. What do you think? We saw well, or are we going to say that? You going to do a separate video for that?
I got some interesting things I want to
Okay.
talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of more stuff that we can break down. Nate's going to break it down and at least do at least one separate video with some, some more theories, some more cool stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Guys, that's pretty much our favorite moments from this episode. Again, it was packed full of stuff. It was a very good episode, I felt like. Really, really played up some stuff that we're going to be seeing here in the next couple episodes. Hey, like this video. We got stuff that comes out every day. Subscribe to the channel. We got a Facebook group. You can see the link for that will be in the description where we kind of live chat with the show. We do giveaways there in our Facebook group and various stuff, to get more in contact with us. Go and check that out. Until next time, guys, we're out.
See ya.